Hi, I'm Edwin Samuelson, and welcome to CineFiles. Today we're discussing a film that was very.
Well, this is our little.
Yeah, it's
capsule
It's
review.
a capsule review. It's a film that we're really much looking forward to seeing. All of us. We all saw the film, and we all had very different conclusions. And
Did
the film,
we?
And well, we'll find out.
Did we really?
The film is Ridley Scott's Prometheus, which, of course, if you've seen our Alien show, you know we all love the Alien universe. And this was
The first half of it, anyway.
Well, we love the alien creature. How about that? This one was really one I was looking forward to because it marks Ridley Scott's first return to science fiction since Blade Runner, which was 30 years ago. Wow, can you believe it was 30 years ago?
Say right now that it had a very impressive beginning.
Well, let's get. Okay, Prometheus opened a few months ago. We all saw it at different times. I think. Well, I'm going to start off with you, Mike. What were you excited to see Prometheus?
I think we all were excited. Eric was very excited.
I was dying to see it. I was so excited. It had a great viral campaign.
How could you not, by watching the trailers, not be excited about it?
It's one of the best trailers I've ever seen.
And anybody that's familiar with the Alien mythos and storyline, one of the things that Ridley Scott gave away as a little teaser is that we will finally know who the space jockey is. And that was exciting. Who will be the space jockey?
To be fair, for a lot of people, it wasn't all that exciting to them because a lot of people were like, I don't want to know who the space jockey was.
I did.
But, anyways, just throwing it out there.
I believe it or not,
Devil's advocate.
I bought tickets to see it at midnight about like 3 or 4 months ago, but I was out of town when I went to go see it. But I saw it up in Michigan, and I saw it the first day in IMAX 3D,
Right.
and it started off very unusual. With the navigator, in the water.
The engineer.
The engineer. I'm sorry, not the engineer.
It opens with whom we think is what turns out to be what they call the engineer.
The engineer.
Who is the space jockey?
Yeah.
Right.
And it starts off.
Or is a space jockey.
It starts off a little unusual. Now, visually, the production design is excellent. I'm like, wow, this looks like it could be really good. And what's great is that it asks all the right questions. I love the ideas of what they were trying to do. My problem was the execution of these somewhat brilliant ideas are laughable at best.
Well, for one thing, I don't know what you mean by ask the right questions, but I'm just saying this.
I don't either, but
because whatever, there weren't any
come
questions asked. They just said, "Oh no, these guys started us, and we're going to go meet them." That was basically it.
Let me take that back. It's a fan of the movie. You're asking, where did these creatures come from? That's what I mean.
Okay, good
That's
point. That's a fair point.
And on top of that, whatever big concepts they were trying to introduce in this film, we've seen in millions of science fiction movies.
Yes.
And they didn't even do anything interesting with that idea, even though we've seen it in millions of science fiction movies. I should go back because we had a very lengthy discussion on this on our Facebook page.
Yes,
probably one of the longest threads we've ever had.
Which ruffled a lot of feathers
on Facebook. And one of the things that annoys me about look, you like the film, fine. You didn't like the film, fine. But there seems to be this anger coming from people who liked the film against the people who didn't, and vice versa, and everyone missing the point of why people liked the film, and everyone missing the point of why people didn't like the film. And what I'm more frustrated by is people saying, "Oh, you must not have liked this film because you didn't like how it ended; it was too dark," or "You're being nitpicky. You're nitpicking this film with all problems." My problem with this film was when I initially saw it, I was like, okay, visually it's stunning, and there was a point where it kind of jumped the shark for me. And then it continued to get okay, wait a second, what's going on? And then it ended. The movie was over. I was like, that was it? But I still liked it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Eric.
Right?
You have a lot of problems with it, but you're like,
I still liked it. But it's one of those films where the more I thought about it, as I spent more distance from it, the more problems I realized I had with it. Scott is a great conceptualizer of future technology. All right, like he puts a lot of thought into why these things work and what they do, and is beautifully realized that it's eye candy. And
now you said in your Facebook posting, and we talked about this too over drinks, because that's what we do. We drink. And you said, and you've been very vehement.
We were drinking separately in 2 different locations while we're having this conversation.
It was virtual.
Continue.
It was virtual drinking. And you have been vehement in your assumption that Ridley Scott has to take the blame, especially for plot and storylines, because he carries a lot of weight, has a lot of power on this film, and he should be the one ultimately responsible for all the story and plot holes throughout this thing. I get this feeling, this is my mental picture. And I don't know if it's disagreeing that much from your assumption, but
you're probably not disagreeing. I didn't know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
I get a feeling that Ridley Scott was looking so much at the composition of what he had up on screen and the special effects and going, I have a feeling they just kind of looked at the script and went, this looks good. All right, let's go. Let's go back to special effects. Let's put this
Ridley Scott is a leprechaun.
We're going to have a large ship, and it's going to fall down, and it's going to be like a Ferris wheel, and it's going to be tipping like this.
Right. I got to throw my 2 cents here.
But that's what I think. I think he probably just took a quick look at the script and
said,
but you know what?
I'm not disagreeing with you. Everyone wants to blame Damon Lindelof because it's his screenplay, and there's a lot of problems in Prometheus that resemble his problems with Lost.
I feel that some of the stuff that I kind of found wrong in there seems like it's linked with him a little bit.
But there's no way in hell Scott has control over the shit he does.
He's the captain.
No one's going to tell him what to do.
If we're going to go by what I think, it kind of is his fault too. If he's barely given the script to read, well, you should do a little bit more QC on this.
They had a prime opportunity for one thing. If you're going to do this film, that's supposed to be a big idea science fiction film, right? And you're going to tackle the subject of who is our creator and what will happen if we meet them. Then you're going to set up a situation. I was comparing this on the thread to a movie like Sunshine, where every single character on that spaceship in Sunshine not only had a role, but they were an individual, and their psychology said volumes about who they were, and they were totally aware of the burden of the mission and how that weighed on their shoulders. And in this film,
and you got to know their characters,
and you got to know their characters, and every choice and decision they made sense. Even when they made the wrong decisions, you understood why they made those decisions, because you would question. As an empathetic person, I probably could have made that decision that they made. That's how intelligent Danny Boyle's Sunshine really was. In Prometheus, people are just there to do things so things can happen to them. And you have this whole opportunity. I mean, look, it's summed up in the scene. They deliver that big speech about what their mission's all about. Character says, that you're basically pissing on, Darwinian theory. And, are you sure? Like, what makes you think these people really did create us? And she says, because I choose to believe. That's it. Debate resolved. And you have that character who's a biologist, right? He's established as a biologist. First thing he does when he sees a humanoid alien body, he cuts and runs. It's like, you're a fucking biologist. This is the...
Which one? The one with the glasses or the...
The one with the glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And don't forget this, too.
The other one was a geologist. What's his name?
Sean Harris.
Don't forget this, too. This guy spent years of his life in outer space because he wanted to know the mysteries of the world. And the first sign of trouble, he runs off. That makes no sense.
Also, another thing. Here were my questions. And you guys can answer them how you want, but why was everybody so angry? Sean Harris was angry. Noomi Rapace's boyfriend was so angry. Everybody
why was he so depressed after when he? Okay, so you just had the find of a lifetime. Don't worry about it. There's probably more stuff to find there. You were just there one night. God, there's a storm. I'm depressed. The mission's a failure. It was like
there's so many more though. There's like the whole Guy Pearce thing. Now, spoilers for anybody. He's on the ship and he's hidden. And it's like, he's financing the whole fucking thing. Why does he have to hide?
That
made no sense.
That made no sense either. It comes out of nowhere. It's like, that's like the big surprise that he was hiding the whole time.
I'm here. It's like, why did he have to hide?
The people who wholeheartedly support this film and think, what's wrong with you? This movie's awesome. They want you to think that all that stuff was intentional, all that ambiguity, because it adds mystery. No. I'm like, really?
But you know what they're doing is they're saying the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's what they're basically saying. But the opposite of what you normally say.
Right. And one of my favorite debates have come out of this film, but where people are saying, see, it was a good film because people are talking about it. And it's like, no, what we're talking about is how shitty the shitty parts are. We're not talking about the ideas and how it provoked our thought and what could that mean. We're talking about how shitty this film is. But one of the popular debates on this film is whether or not Charlize Theron's character is actually an android as well. And I'm like,
you gotta
okay,
be
really?
Fucking kidding me.
Is that what you're going to be arguing about? If that's what you think is one of the big mysteries of the film, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Charlize Theron's character could have been an interesting twist on that, Wayland corporate drone character that usually turns out to be the bad guy in some of the Aliens films, but she doesn't turn out to be a bad guy. Because a lot of the decisions she tries to enforce are sound decisions. No, don't bring in that guy in here if he's infected. Do not bring him on the ship. But it was so half-assed. In trying to portray that aspect of his character.
And what about the reappearance of that guy when he opened the deck? Remember?
That made no fucking sense.
Exactly.
Well,
they didn't see this guy crawling up to the
Yeah, but that didn't make any sense because his feet were over his shoulder. Then you pan away and pan up, and then he stands up, like a regular person, like a regular two-person thing. I'm thinking, oh my God, has this whatever's in him has forced him to become sort of creature? No, he just stands up and he's super strong.
And that's where Ridley Scott drops the ball as a director, because they are supposed to know that there's something out there, and that's why they want to go and investigate that there's something outside of shit. But there's no build-up.
Why the fuck?
You just see this thing, you're looking at it like, what is that?
Why do I even like this movie? I still don't even understand why I like it, because now I'm talking with you now, and it just drives me nuts. But I just love the visual camera.
Well, I mean, you have a great performance from Michael Fassbender, but then that's the whole Fassbender. I'm sorry, Fassbender.
Even that I had problems with, and it wasn't his fault.
Right.
But he's constantly told throughout the film how he's an emotional, soulless robot when he shows emotion throughout the whole goddamn movie. It shows when he's mad. He shows when he's petulant. It shows when he's happy or ecstatic or satisfied or sneaky.
And spying on her dreams.
He has all these moments of emotion.
You see, again, there were some where I would say where I agree with Edwin, where there were good ideas. It's not the questions or the themes, but the concept of this character, David, where everyone says you're not supposed to feel emotion, but he is developing these, like Hal in 2001. He's somehow evolving, but there was nothing. I mean, I thought the most intriguing stuff, honestly, was him being on that ship when everyone was asleep, and he's like obsessed with Lawrence Arabia. I thought that was like interesting.
I like that. No, there was a lot of parts. Now, you joked in one of the postings or whatever. You called the worm the penis creature.
Right.
But I got to be honest with you, I liked kind of how that was handled, because this is basically one of the very first creatures on the Earth when evolution started, was this basic squid-type creature. And I thought, okay, what these scientists maybe are going to do, or the engineers or whatever they're called, is go back and insert into our evolution this basic squid creature and make it kill us, basically,
I didn't get that.
And eliminate. Well, this is something that I drew.
What I got was that ooze that was coming out of these like pods. Right, so that you saw like they're stepping on like maggots or little worms. Mm-hmm. Well, what I interpreted was that the ooze got to them and then
and mutated.
Right, that's what happened to the Sean Harris character. Even though that didn't make any sense because we saw his face get burned off.
And let me ask a question: would you ever, as a scientist, go up to a creature you don't even know and reach out your hand to touch it, especially if it looks like a dangerous creature?
Well, according to their logic, he is a biologist, so he really got into the idea of meeting.
No, it doesn't make any sense that he ran away from a dead humanoid alien body, but it was willing to reach out to a far more threatening-looking penis snake. Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I would have loved
in a room that they didn't want to be in the first place.
And they could have fixed that, though. They're just in the tunnel, lost. That thing just comes out and attacks them. That's all you need to do.
You ever know?
Or they could have made the biologist a brave character and decided to stay behind so he could stay with the Sean Harris character. But then again, the Sean Harris character, who is mapping the whole place, is the one who gets lost.
Yet he's the one who has the map.
He's the one that was the job.
He
was the one who was mapping the entire ship, and he's the one who got lost.
And we forgot about something else, my friend. The thing that drove me nuts.
I'm not your friend.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Okay. Of course I am.
Okay, you're my bud. Anyway, there's the Idris Elba character is the smartest one. He goes, it's obvious that this was a nuclear
military site.
I'm like, what the fuck?
That came out of left field.
Left field exposition.
Because he didn't give a shit. Remember, he's like, there's a storm coming up, y'all, so you're gonna have to stay put in there. And he's like looking at the other cast members like, those guys are fucked. Who cares? I'm going to get laid by the blonde robot over here soon. And I'm going to talk about Crosby, Stills, and Nash for no fucking reason.
Yeah, the Crosby, Stills, and Nash reference.
And then like 2 minutes later is Russia, this is like a military sign or some shit. I don't know, but we got to do something. It's like, how did you just figure that out?
The strong part about the Alien, the first one, you know every single one of those characters. Every single one of them.
Well, it
has
goes
a
back.
purpose.
It's not only Alien.
I can name
it's
all of them.
Aliens.
Yeah.
And it's you can even say the Thing. You're getting to know each one of these guys, or like Sunshine, what Eric brought up. Each one of these people serves a role. Each one of the. It's the director's job to make you care about. Now I know there was a bigger crew, but when Idris Elba's character and the other two pilots basically sacrifice themselves at the end, you don't give a fuck, because not only do you not compare, not only do you not care about care about Idris Elba because of that fucking accent and his conclusions he's jumping to, even though 1 minute he doesn't care and the next minute he's figured out the entire plot. But what about the two pilots that are talking to him, and you see this big brave sacrifice, and you're like, it's like. And then you notice when didn't you feel cheated? That when they had one engineer alive and he came awake out of stasis and David was able to talk to him, the most he could do, these guys were little guys. They were the little people. I did like Noomi Rapace goes, can you ask him why he hates us and why he wants to go back and kill us? That was my favorite line in the film. I enjoyed that because I liked the desperation in her voice. But how she come to that
conclusion? Because Idris Elba told her that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the best, now it's funny, he rips off David's head. Even though David is the only one that he can communicate, he decides to rip off his head, and then everybody else he punches and shoves.
But that could have been.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense because of the build up to that. But if it was a better script, that could have been an incredibly scary sequence. It could have been something straight out of H.P. Lovecraft.
I did love how
where we finally meeting our makers and they don't give a shit about us. They
but
just
don't
don't care.
And
that could have been an outstanding statement to make in a much better film.
Now, remember how they said they found the ship and it was headed towards Earth? It was like 2,000 years earlier. Mm-hmm. Some people come up with the idea that it was around the time Jesus was around.
Well, Scott said they toyed with the idea of making the statement that Jesus was an alien. And if you look, like if you pay attention to the murals they're looking at,
Chariots of God.
There's an image of an engineer with the side of his stomach, and it's inferred that was a spear of destiny, whatever, But that would have been a phenomenally stupid idea. It's again Ridley Scott trying to do a big idea, a la Deckard was a replicant, and it's just stupid. It's childish. It doesn't. It's okay if these things are unanswered. I like ambiguity, but the problem is, in order to be thought-provoking, you have to present a debate that provokes thought, where you understand both sides of the story. And there was nothing like that in this film. There was no sense of the burden of this discovery that it was going to have on these people. You had a character like Noomi Rapace. There was a kernel of an interesting idea where obviously she's a creationist. Okay? And it'd be interesting, okay, do we have a future where creationism is considered a legitimate science? And then you have that versus non-creationists. That's a fascinating idea, and you have a combination of these people on the ship, and then this thing happens. How does that challenge your belief, this belief that you staunchly believe in all your life, and then you're faced with something that completely contradicts that?
What do you think about Guy Pearce? Why was he cast, and why is he in this nasty makeup?
Apparently they did shoot scenes with him as a younger Wayland, as the stuff they did for the viral campaign.
And a part of the viral campaign,
And I guess that stuff didn't make it in the final cut, so that's why it's there. But yeah, you know what? They should have gotten Christopher Plummer.
If you would have gotten more involved with the characters, you would have cared about them more. So when they died or went through whatever travails that they had,
they should have less characters and get to know them.
But look at something like Aliens. Look at how many characters.
8.
Even when you go into the more obscure characters like Sergeant Apone, you still care about Apone.
Aliens, I'm talking about.
Yeah, you still care about Apone. You still care about where's Basky? Like these tiny guys that have like 1 or 2 lines in the film.
Their
you
lines
still care
are
about
great
them.
because they give them
Gorman.
moments.
You care about Gorman.
I still like it, even though I don't know why.
The special effects. You know what? It was like a ride. It was a real spectacular ride at Great Adventure or something.
It's like a theme park ride.
And you sit there and you're in the moment. You're sitting there and you're like, well, that was stupid. That doesn't match up. Why is he saying that? Why is he doing that? And then you're sitting there going, oh, these are some pretty lights. This is a pretty ride to be on. So, like I said, it's got its problems, and boy, does it have its problems. But it's something that
Better than Alien 3?
Yes, it was. Because Alien 3 automatically set up this conceit, like, we're going to do something different. Because Sigourney Weaver won't do this film because she doesn't want any guns in the film. So let's do an Alien film without guns, because she's so famous now. And then let's put her in a prison world. And let's take
I'm
all
watching you on our feed, and you look like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
All right.
Let's take all the characters that everybody cared about, like Newton Hicks, and let's just kill them off.
All right. Well, I think this is enough
What
for
a
this
fucking
one.
piece of garbage.
Well,
We've said enough.
We did enough. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Prometheus talk. I mean, this turned out to be a really good talk, I think.
It is worth seeing on the big screen.
It is.
Yes.
See it
After all our trash talking.
I mean, it is visually spectacular, and
It is
that's what
visually
saves
spectacular.
the film.
You know what? I'll give it a masterpiece in terms of visuals. As a story, it evens out where it turns out to be a decent movie. But the visuals of why you're going to go see this
I'm
movie.
going to give a shout out to our boy Brennan Morissette, who is actually
He was a good sport.
one of our finest members of the. And we love all of our fans, but Brennan, I think, is
Most of
really
them.
a good sport on discussing things.
He's a
And-
staunch supporter of the film, and God bless you.
And I'll tell you, I think the reason why is no matter how much fault we find with this Prometheus, and we do find plenty of fault, sight unseen, this is a much better film than something like Battleship. And I think that because there's a few good ideas in this film, the special effects and everything and the commitment to story are there in some way, that probably his fear, like all of our fear, is that most science fiction films will come out to be like Transformers 3 or Battleship or something, where it's all effects, no story, and bizarre celebrity cameos. And I'm saying that's a fear. It could be a legitimate fear. It could be an illegitimate fear. I'm of the mind that science fiction comes out and
My response to that is, I understand the fear, but however, historically speaking, every time you have that one single great movie that comes out, like a Star Wars or 2001, whatever, what doesn't usually happen is, oh, great, that means there's money in doing intelligent sci-fi. It usually just means, oh, no, there's money in doing ripoffs.
Well,
And they get watered down from what
Well,
they did
anyway.
before. So I don't think it would make any difference.
let's cut this tonight. By the way, Roger Ebert gave Prometheus 4 stars. Anyway, I'm Edwin Samuelson. This was the CineFiles, and until next time.
Changed my mind. Roger Ebert says it's great.
Yeah.
I have to be wrong.
why'd you do the fascist salute?
No, I was like, yeah.
No, you did the Black Power salute. You're the most anti-racist person I've ever met.
Don't be hating.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. All right.